Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. This time we're going to be tackling something pretty fascinating. Social and personality development in late adulthood.
Yeah.
That's like 60s and beyond.
Yeah.
You give us some really interesting academic notes focusing on all the big theories about this stage of life. So let's see what we can uncover. Like, what makes this period unique? What challenges and triumphs come up? And how can we all understand this phase better?
No matter what age you are, I think these questions are relevant.
Absolutely. So consider this your crash course in aging gracefully.
Without actually having to age.
Exactly.
Well, for now, at least.
Right. Well, I'm excited to dive in. And I know you're like a walking encyclopedia on this stuff. What are you most excited to dig into here?
Well, there are just so many complex and honestly kind of profound questions about how our relationships and our sense of self even evolve over time.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, okay, right off the bat, I love a good framework. And these notes jump right into Erikson's stages, the psychosocial development stages. We all remember those, right?
Oh, yeah.
Each stage, a new existential crisis to conquer.
Each stage is a doozy.
I know. So late adulthood, what's the main event?
Well, so we're talking about ego integrity versus despair.
Okay.
And, it's wrestling with these big questions like, did I lead a meaningful life? Did my choices even matter?
And it's like, not just about accomplishments, right? It's more about coming to terms with the whole journey. Is that right?
Exactly. So if you can, come to terms with your journey, own both the good and the bad, the ups and the downs, that's where ego integrity really emerges.
So it's like making peace with the entire tapestry of your life.
Yes. The whole messy, beautiful tapestry.
I like that. Okay, so the reward for all this soul-searching, wisdom, right. But I got to ask, does that mean everyone over 65 is suddenly dispensing sage advice from a rocking chair? What does it even look like practically?
Well, hold on. Hold the rocking chair stereotype for a second. Because the kind of wisdom we're talking about here isn't about having all the answers. It's really more about self-awareness, acceptance, recognizing that life has both joy and sorrow, wins and losses, and that all those experiences, they kind of contribute to who you are.
Yeah, there's a depth to that. So this brings up something else that we have in our notes here, which is reminiscing. It's not just about, getting all nostalgic.
Right.
It's a key part of this process.
Absolutely. And, there's actually research that connects certain types of reminiscence to better health outcomes.
Really?
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff.
So if I spent all day reliving that time I accidentally wore mismatched shoes to a job interview.
Yeah.
That could actually be good for my mental health.
Well, probably not the best use of your time.
Okay.
But focusing on, making peace with past choices, understanding the lessons learned, that's where the benefit is.
Got it. It's about growth and not just dwelling. Okay, so we've got this idea of this drive for meaning making. But our notes also point to this tension between staying really active and kind of intentionally withdrawing in late adulthood.
Right. Yeah.
It's two different approaches. You've got people who swear by staying busy and others who embrace kind of a more strategic retreat.
Right.
What's the deal with these contrasting theories?
Okay, so activity theory, it proposes that staying engaged, maintaining social roles, leads to more satisfaction. And it stresses, using your strength and doing things you actually enjoy.
Okay. That makes sense. Stay active, feel useful. It seems like a good recipe for well-being.
Yeah.
But isn't encouraging people to just stay busy, kind of putting pressure on them? You know what? If someone actually thrives on a slower pace, are they doomed to despair?
Yeah, that's a great point. It's not about one size fits all, right? And there's disengagement theory, which actually acknowledges that withdrawing can be really healthy. As your priorities shift, it's natural to disengage from certain roles or activities. It's not giving up. It's about, making conscious choices.
So it's more nuanced than just stay busy or, become a hermit.
Right. Exactly.
It's about finding a balance.
Yeah. A balance between engagement and disengagement.
Okay. So we've tackled the internal search for meaning and this kind of external balancing act. But we can't talk about late adulthood without talking about relationships,
No,
right?
absolutely not.
They're so important no matter what age you are. But what about those long-term partnerships, the ones that have really stood the test of time? How do they navigate this stage?
Well, it's really interesting because while that initial, romantic spark might kind of settle over time, long-term partnerships in late adulthood often kind of develop a whole new dimension.
Okay.
They're anchored in things like loyalty, companionship, and a really deep shared history.
So it's they've weathered all these storms together.
Exactly.
And they come out stronger.
Yes. stronger in different ways, and studies have shown that this is pretty universal.
Interesting. So it's not just about holding on to that initial passion.
Right.
It's about evolving into like a different but equally powerful connection. Now, let's not forget friendships.
Oh, yeah. How could we?
They become even more important, don't they?
Absolutely. Friendships are a powerful antidote to loneliness and isolation, which, can be a concern as people get older. They give you a sense of belonging. They boost your self-esteem and provide support, often in a more reciprocal way than even family relationships.
That makes me think about how we often talk about chosen family in the LGBTQ plus community. It really resonates here.
Yes, it does.
It's like those friendships that you choose and you nurture, they become vital, especially as you navigate aging.
Absolutely. And they can offer a sense of belonging and understanding. That's really unique and valuable.
Yeah. And it's not just about having people to call when you need help moving furniture, although that is a plus.
Always a plus.
It's about having people who get you. People you can laugh with, confide in, and who genuinely enrich your life.
And the research backs this up. There are studies that show that strong social connections are linked to better physical and mental health in late adulthood.
Wow. So friendships, they're not just nice to have, they're actually crucial. Like they're a key ingredient to a longer, healthier, happier life. I'm putting friend dates on the calendar.
That's a great idea. And don't underestimate those new connections.
Oh, yeah.
Even in later life, people can form meaningful friendships that bring joy and support.
I love that. It's never too late to expand your social circle. But what about long-standing friendships? The ones that have lasted for decades? Do those evolve too?
They do. Much like those long-term partnerships, they deepen and become even more precious. You have all this shared history, inside jokes, and this level of understanding that you just don't find elsewhere.
It's like they've become woven into your story, a living tapestry of your life.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so speaking of stories and legacies, that comes up a lot in discussions about late adulthood, but it can be a little intimidating. Do we all need to, have some big accomplishment to leave behind? A building named after us?
Not at all. Legacy isn't just about big gestures. It's about the impact you have on the world around you.
Okay.
Big or small. It can be as simple as being a loving parent or a supportive friend, a kind neighbor.
So it's less about statues and more about the ripples you create in the lives of the people around you.
Precisely. Think about the people who've had a big impact on your life. It's probably not because they were famous or wealthy. It's because they touched you in a meaningful way, through their kindness or their wisdom, their support.
That's a really beautiful way to think about it. It takes the pressure off. So we're all constantly shaping our legacy, even if we don't realize it, just by our actions and interactions with others.
Absolutely. Every choice we make, every interaction we have contributes to the mark we leave on the world. And, that's something worth reflecting on at any age, I think.
Yeah, that's such a powerful thought. It's like we're all walking legacies in progress. But we've been talking a lot about individual experiences. What about the broader context of aging? The social and cultural stuff. How does that play into all of this?
Yeah, that's such a crucial piece of this. Because, cultural norms and expectations play a huge role in how we understand and navigate getting older. In some cultures, older adults are revered for their wisdom and experience.
Right.
They're seen as keepers of tradition, sources of guidance.
Yeah.
But in other cultures, there's this big emphasis on youth and productivity, which can lead to older adults feeling, marginalized and undervalued.
So it's like this whole other layer of influence, right?
Yeah, it's huge. And it impacts everything from family dynamics to, healthcare policies, even the way we design our communities.
So aging might be universal, but it's not a one-size-fits-all experience. It's shaped by so many different factors.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And recognizing that complexity is crucial for creating, supportive environments for older adults.
So it's about moving beyond those stereotypes and embracing the diversity of these experiences.
Exactly.
Well, I feel like we've uncovered so much already, but we've got more to unpack, right?
Well, we've only just scratched the surface. There's so much more to discover about the revealing landscape of late adulthood, and I'm excited to delve in a little deeper with you.
Awesome. So before we took a little break, we were talking about how cultural norms really can color how aging is viewed, from respected elder to, less than. And that makes me think about something else in our notes here, the demographic trends.
Mm-hmm.
The world's population is aging, right?
It is.
People are living longer, which is amazing, but it also means we have more older adults globally.
Right?
So some call it the silver tsunami.
Yeah.
Does that change how we think about late adulthood at all?
It definitely challenges a lot of our assumptions about aging and retirement,
Okay.
because if people are living longer and healthier lives,
Yeah.
that old image of frail, inactive seniors doesn't fit anymore.
Yeah.
We need new models.
So it's like the script is flipped.
Yeah.
Instead of decline and withdrawal, you've got people in their 70s and 80s who want to stay engaged,
Right.
contribute, maybe even start new careers.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that has huge implications for everything.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Workforce planning, healthcare, social support systems. We need to create more age-inclusive environments that recognize the diverse needs of this growing population.
So it's not just about adding more ramps and grab bars.
No.
It's about really reimagining what it means to live a long life,
Exactly.
regardless of your age.
Exactly. And challenging those ageist biases, you
Right.
know, those stereotypes that limit opportunities for older adults.
Yeah.
We need to shift that narrative from decline to possibility.
Shifting the narrative, I like that. It's about recognizing the potential of this demographic.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of challenges, our notes also mention some of the difficulties that people might face,
Yeah.
like health issues, maybe mobility limitations, even cognitive decline.
Mm-hmm.
How do those impact late adulthood?
Well, those are very real concerns that can significantly affect someone's quality of life.
Yeah.
You know, chronic illness, mobility issues, cognitive changes. Those things can require a lot of adjustment to your lifestyle, your expectations, and sometimes even to your social connections. And access to activities that we know are so important for well-being.
Yeah. It's not always smooth sailing.
No, it's
There are
not.
bumps in the road, and sometimes those bumps feel like mountains.
Yeah, it can be tough.
It's got to be tough.
It is, and it's why adequate support is so important. Accessible healthcare, transportation, community resources.
Okay.
But also compassion and understanding on a personal level.
So it's both and.
Yeah.
We need those systemic changes, but also the individual level support. Checking in on neighbors, offering rides, just being there to listen.
Those little things can make such a difference.
We're all in this together. Now, all this talk about support and connection makes me think, what about those aging without a spouse or partner? Do the same principles apply?
Absolutely. While partnerships can offer a very specific kind of support,
Yeah.
there are many fulfilling ways to age without one. Friendships, family, community involvement.
Right.
All those provide that sense of belonging and connection.
So it's not about a relationship status. It's about those meaningful connections.
Yeah.
However, they take shape.
Exactly. And for some people, aging solo is a time of self-discovery and growth, a chance to travel or just enjoy life at their own pace.
So there's no one right way to age.
Nope.
It's about finding what works for you.
Yeah, and challenging those societal expectations that tell us there's a right way.
Celebrate the diversity of aging.
Exactly.
Okay. But I know a lot of folks worry about losing their marbles as they get older. Is cognitive decline inevitable? Or can we do anything to keep our brains sharp?
I think that's a common concern, but there's good news.
Okay.
While some cognitive changes are natural, there's a lot we can do to stay sharp.
Okay, give us the secrets.
Well, there's no magic bullet, but research suggests that some simple lifestyle factors make a big difference. Staying physically active, eating healthy, sleeping enough, and challenging your brain.
So the usual suspects. Healthy habits, stay engaged, use it or lose it.
Pretty much. And don't underestimate social connections.
Oh, there it is again.
Meaningful conversations, time with loved ones, social activities, that all helps.
So basically everything we've talked about so far, staying connected, finding purpose, challenging yourself, it all contributes to a healthier brain.
Exactly. It's all connected. And it's never too early or too late to start incorporating those things.
I like the sound of that. Never too late. It's a message of hope. But before we get too carried away with the positives, I want to circle back to those health issues and mobility challenges you mentioned earlier.
Right.
Those can be serious hurdles.
They can. And we need to acknowledge those difficulties. Chronic pain, limited mobility, those things take a toll.
Yeah. And it can be isolating too.
It can. If you can't get out and about as easily,
Right.
it's harder to maintain those connections.
Exactly.
Which is why support is so crucial. Family, friends, community organizations, they can provide assistance, transportation, emotional support, and companionship, creating a network of care to help older adults maintain their independence and quality of life.
So it's not just medical care, it's a holistic approach.
Exactly. And it's about empowering people to make choices about their lives,
Right.
even as they might need more assistance, respecting their dignity and autonomy.
Respecting their dignity. That's so important, seeing them as individuals,
Yes.
not just as patients. And recognizing they still have so much to offer.
Yes. Wisdom, experience, perspectives that enrich us all.
Their value doesn't diminish just because they need some extra help.
Right. And in fact, their experience might be even more valuable as they navigate aging.
Absolutely.
Right.
So we've talked about cultural shifts, demographic trends, health challenges, the need for support. It's a lot. As we wrap up this part, what's the most surprising thing you've learned about late adulthood?
One thing that really fascinates me is the idea of resilience. Despite the challenges, physical changes, loss, so many demonstrate incredible resilience, an ability to adapt and find joy.
So it's not all doom and gloom.
Not at all. It's a reminder that aging isn't just about decline. It's about growth and adapting.
And discovering what it means to live a good life.
Yes.
That's a great note to end on. But we've got more to talk about, right?
Oh, we do.
Wow. Okay, so we have covered so much. From, all the big theories of aging to relationships, cultural influences, health challenges, and that amazing resilience that you were just talking about. I feel like I have a whole new view of what late adulthood can be.
That's great to hear.
I know. It's been so interesting. So we've been focusing on what makes late adulthood unique. But I'm realizing that all these things kind of apply to us now too, right?
I think so. That's what's so fascinating to me. By really understanding late adulthood, we get this fresh perspective on our own lives. It's like looking ahead, realizing that the choices we make now are shaping the future.
Oh, I like that. Choices now shaping the future. So it's not just about preparing for retirement. It's about being more intentional now.
Exactly. So take ego integrity, for example, that sense of peace with your life. We're actually writing that story every day, how we treat others, the work we do, how we contribute. It all adds up.
Wow. That's pretty deep. So even if I'm decades away from rocking chairs and reminiscing, I'm already laying the groundwork for that feeling. Or, the opposite.
Right. And the importance of social connections. That just highlights how crucial it is to nurture those bonds now. Invest in your friendships, prioritize your family, build a community. Those connections become so important, especially as we go through changes.
So it's like we're getting a sneak peek at all that wisdom that's supposed to come with age. But we don't have to wait.
Yeah.
And hey, maybe by prioritizing those connections now, we can kind of avoid some of that loneliness that we talked about earlier.
Exactly. And remember, those benefits of staying active and finding purpose in late adulthood,
Yeah.
well, those aren't just for older folks.
That's true.
No matter how old you are, engaging in things you enjoy, things that challenge you and connect you to something bigger than yourself, that's important at any age.
It's like all those things we link to aging well. Purpose, connection, lifelong learning. Those aren't just for later, they're for now.
They are ingredients for a good life, period.
And if we can really embrace all of that now, maybe it'll make the transition into late adulthood smoother.
Like planting seeds that'll grow for years to come.
I love that. Okay, so we started by talking about all the things that make late adulthood unique. But I feel like we've really uncovered some universal truths about living a good life, no matter how old you are.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes exploring these topics so rewarding. We often discover things that can illuminate the entire journey.
Totally. So as we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought. We've talked about how society's understanding of late adulthood is changing, becoming more, dynamic, I guess. But what about your own personal vision of this stage of life? What do you hope it looks like for you? And what can you do today to start making that vision a reality? Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep challenging those assumptions about aging. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.